All right, Evergreen crew, gather round. We're going to talk about removing fluorescent lights. Now, I know it seems like just another task, but this one's got some hidden dangers. The whole point of this briefing is to make absolutely sure every single one of you goes home in one piece. So let's get right to it.
So first question for everybody, and I want you to really think about this. When you're up on that ladder, pulling down these old fixtures, what are the two biggest things that can actually hurt you? What are you really up against?
Okay, so the first one's pretty obvious, right? Broken glass. It's sharp, you can see it, and we all know what a bad cut feels like. But the second one, that's the one that's tricky. It's the invisible stuff. Toxic chemicals like mercury and PCBs that are sealed up inside these things. You can't see them, you can't smell them, but they can cause some serious long-term damage if you're not careful.
Right. So let's really dig into the job itself and those dangers. Everything we're about to cover is designed to protect you from those two things, the sharp stuff and the invisible stuff. We're going to break down exactly how you shield yourself from cuts, from the mercury vapor that gets released if a bulb shatters, and from those nasty PCBs in the older ballasts.
Now, let's get one thing crystal clear right now. Safety isn't just on the supervisor. Not at all. It's on every single one of us on this site. You have a critical role to play, your supervisor has a role, and we all need to know exactly what's expected of us.
So yeah, your supervisor's job is to make sure you've got the training and the right gear. But your job is just as important. You are our eyes on the ground. It is on you to check your gear before you start, to spot any hazards right there in your work area, and this is the big one, to report any issues to your foreman immediately. You're the first line of defense. And that brings us to your gear. You simply cannot and will not do this job safely if you don't have the right tools. This part right here is totally non-negotiable. Before anyone even thinks about starting work, you've got to be geared up properly. So, here's the rundown of what you need. We're talking your standard PPE, but specifically, you need good cut-resistant gloves. That's a no-brainer for handling glass. You also need a respirator handy for that invisible threat we talked about, that mercury vapor if a bulb breaks. And of course, a first aid kit better be close by. Always. No excuses on that one. Okay, now we're getting into the real nuts and bolts. I want you to think of this next part as your mandatory checklist. These are the things you absolutely have to do. Every time, no exceptions. Before you touch a single fixture, you lock down your area. It's a simple 3-step process. First, you use tape to set up a control zone, at least 10 feet wide, to keep anyone from wandering underneath you. Second, you have a spotter actively patrolling that zone. And third, you don't even start until that spotter gives you the all clear. It's 1, 2, 3, every single time. All right, so your area's secure. What's next? Well, the checklist keeps going. You make sure you're wearing your cut-resistant gloves and protective clothing. You physically look at every single ballast for a label that says non-PCB or PCB-free. If a tube breaks by accident, you stop what you're doing, you put on your respirator, and then you clean it up. And finally, you always make sure there's good airflow in the area to clear out any dust or vapors. Okay, we've gone over the do's. Now for the don'ts. And I want you to listen closely here. These are the hard lines, the lines you never, ever cross. There is zero wiggle room on these. First one, couldn't be simpler. If you walk up to an area and you don't see that red danger tape and you don't see a spotter, you do not go in there, period. Your safety and the safety of the guy working up high literally depends on it. And hey, for the spotter, this is the other side of that coin. Your job is constant. You don't walk off for a smoke, you don't check your phone. That zone stays guarded the entire time someone is working overhead. You're protecting them, and you're protecting everyone else from anything that might fall.
So, we mentioned PCBs. What are they, really? Well, all you need to know is they're nasty chemicals that they use to put in old light ballasts. The bottom line is they pose a serious health risk, and our job is to make sure we don't get exposed to them. Simple as that.
So here's the rule of thumb, and it's a big one. If a ballast does not have a clear PCB-free label on it, you must assume it has PCBs inside. No guessing. You treat that thing like hazardous waste from the moment you lay your hands on it. And pay close attention to this one. Ballasts, and I mean all of them, even the new ones, they never ever go into the regular dumpster. They are considered universal waste, which means they have to be taken to a special disposal service. There are no exceptions to this. And finally, this might just be the most important don't of them all. Don't forget to wash your hands.
before you go on break, before you eat, before you have a drink, before you smoke. That invisible toxic dust gets on your hands, and this is how it gets into your body. It's such a simple habit, but it could literally save your health down the road.
So let's wrap this all up. The goal here isn't for you to just remember these rules today. The goal is to drill them into your head until they become automatic. Safety has to be a habit, something you do without even thinking about it.
Look, if you only remember one thing, just one, from this whole talk, make it this. After all the gear is on and all the procedures are followed, the #1 way you protect yourself from those invisible threats is to wash your hands thoroughly. That's what stops the poison from getting in.
Which brings us right back to the most important point. With all the rules and all the gear and all the supervisors, who is ultimately responsible for your safety out there? It's you. It is you. Look out for yourself and look out for your crew. Now, let's go get it done safely.